What it is, Bradley, back again with another episode of Drop Bombs today in the studio. Folks, like most days, I have a real treat for you. Ashley Taylor Maland.
Hello.
In the house. How are you?
I'm good.
Folks, if you guys don't know who she is a powerhouse writer, content creator known for her raw honesty on mental health, dating, and relationships. And you got over 500,000 followers hanging on your every word.
I do.
So your viral video, one of them, Walk Away, racked up a bunch of views, 21 million views. What was the video about?
So I had just gotten out of a tumultuous relationship, and I was talking about how you have to literally sometimes do the thing that's hard to do, even when it doesn't feel good. You know, walking away from a relationship that you're attached to is hard. But when you're looking at it and you're going, this is doing more damage than it is good, you have to have the strength to say, okay, this is not the right thing for me anymore. And this person has the work that they need to do, and I have the work I need to do, and I have to walk away. I have to take the stand for myself, whether I want to do it or not, and walk away so that I can improve my life and virtually improve theirs. Sometimes people just aren't meant to be together, and it becomes toxic even when it may not be otherwise.
Got it. And by the way, you're all about positivity, self-improvement, and you help people heal from toxic relationships.
I do. Well, I talk about my own healing, and I try to put a positive spin on it because it's tough, as you know, and I think that if that helps other people, that's amazing. That's great.
So if you guys want to follow her on Instagram, she's Ashley Maland. That's Maland, by the way. TikTok, Ashley Taylor Maland, her full name. Mm-hmm. And YouTube, Ashley Taylor Maland. Podcast, by the way, she has her own podcast, Not For Nothing Podcast.
That's right.
Has a bunch of people hanging on every word.
Well, me and my co-host.
And it's generally what? Health, dating, and relationships?
Yeah, the podcast is.
Go ahead.
We do interview people as well. It's not always about life and love. It's, motivational, someone with an encouraging message of any kind, really.
But if all your fans tuned in, they'd be like, oh, there's Ashley, or this is the life and love girl.
Yeah,
So you're giving relationship advice, dating advice?
I wouldn't even call it advice. I would say it's mostly what not to do. What not to do, and to stop pointing fingers and start looking at yourself and what you're doing yourself to end up in these relationships.
In order to avoid these toxic relationships. It's all about toxicity.
It's about not choosing toxic relationships. It's about choosing to do the inner work so that you're choosing healthy relationships.
Why is it that you're so passionate about this?
Because I spent a lifetime of choosing people that I knew weren't good for me. I was in an extremely abusive...
How does that, just out of curiosity, how does that make all the people that you've been with feel?
Well,
if I heard that and I was your ex, I'd be like, thanks, Ashley.
It's not, but it's not about them individually, right? My first serious relationship that I ever had was extremely abusive. It was physically abusive, mentally abusive,
like he'd hit you?
Yes. He actually...
Where was your dad? Where was your brothers? Do you have dads and brothers?
They didn't know.
You didn't tell them?
I didn't.
Well, they couldn't tell?
No, because I didn't live with them.
Kept it hidden?
I did.
From friends and family?
Yeah, I did.
Now, how long did you let that go?
That was about 3.5 years.
Hold on. How long did you let it go?
What do you mean?
How long did you withstand the torture?
It didn't start off that way.
Of course not. That never does.
Yeah, it wasn't, honestly, once the physical abuse started, I left.
Okay, good. That's what I'm wondering. How long did you get?
I put up with horrific things, cheating, lying, horrible things that I should have never dealt with, but I was very young, very naive.
How old were you?
It was 16 to 19. I was 16 years old till I was 19 years old.
How old was he?
He was 21 when I met him at 16.
Well, isn't that statutory rape?
Yeah, it is. Technically speaking.
What's the statute of limitations on that?
You know what? It's a rabbit hole that we could go down. But.
I'm one of those guys, though, that think that's touchy stuff because, depending on who you were at 16, what'd you look like at 16? Well, he was 21. That doesn't matter. Well, I know, and to me, if I were 21 and the law's 18 18.
Right.
But between 16 and 21, it ain't that big of a thing.
Right.
I remember when I was 16, 21-year-olds, even 21-year-old girls, I was trying to get them. So it's like, that's not a huge age gap.
Right.
So it was like a high school sweetheart.
Right, kind of, yeah. And honestly, if you pushed that, 10 years, you wouldn't think anything of it, right? Like the age difference, you wouldn't think anything of that 5 plus 10 years from that point.
Yeah.
It's a weird age.
It's a weird age. And nowadays I look at 16-year-olds and they're running around acting like freaking 20-year-olds.
And they look 20.
It's unbelievable. But let's get back to it. So you were in a bad relationship from 16 to 19. Fortunately, you learned early though, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Do you talk to him still?
No.
And how old are you now?
I'm 37.
Can I ask? Okay, good. So it's been
38 this year.
So it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So this is a long time ago.
Yeah, so this I don't like go into details about this on my page. I talk about it in bits and pieces just because it's an experience that I had that a lot of women can relate to. And because I learned so much from it about myself. But I also realized that kind of set the precedence of the type of people that I was choosing from that point on.
You chose another one?
I never sought out to choose abusive relationships, but I never held boundaries. I didn't have the confidence to expect the things that should be expected in a relationship.
How come?
I didn't know any different. When you're 16, in the first relationship that you have, like when it deteriorates any confidence that you might have, you're so vulnerable. You're so fragile at that age. Like you really don't know who you are yet. You're so young. It changes your brain chemistry. An abusive relationship changes your brain chemistry. And at that age, it makes a big impact on you. And so I had no self-confidence. I didn't know who I was. And I didn't know what I deserved. I didn't even know what I needed or wanted, to be honest with you. And I kind of just fell through life just dating whoever was interested, whoever I thought was attractive. I wasn't looking for the things that you should be looking for in a man if you actually want to be treated well, right?
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
What should women be looking for in a man?
I think you have to know yourself. You have to know what you need in a relationship. If you need a good communicator, you don't date a guy that says, "Oh, I just don't communicate well. I don't want to communicate. That's not my style." There are good men on all spectrums, but we're all different, right? So it depends on you and the type of person that you need and the type of person that they need. It's about Compatibility. There's
and
great men that aren't great communicators.
But sometimes it's not a good fit anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, well, again, I want to come back to that for a moment. I want to go back to 16 to 19.
Okay.
What were some of the things you endured? Like, describe the relationship. You met, everything was lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
How long until you guys started arguing?
Pretty quickly.
A year? Within a year?
Oh, less. 6 months.
Okay, so within 6 months, you guys are fighting and not respecting each other.
Not at all.
But it hasn't gotten physical.
Right.
Has he cheated?
This was a person that was 21. What do you think 21-year-old
He's
guys
treating
like
you,
to do?
yeah. And not only that, like you're a little 16 hanger-on, or he's probably thinking like a little dirt ball. Because again, I mean, we've all been dirt balls as kids, right? I at least I was, and I can admit it, and I've apologized for it. But like we get sometimes when we're young, we don't know any better, like you said. So he probably just saw you as a, toy.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm 100% certain of it.
And so you probably saw him because he was older as a, serious boyfriend.
Yes, I looked at this person. I thought he's older and he likes me. Yeah. He wants to date me. That made me feel good. That made me feel like, oh, I look older. I'm mature. Like all the things that you want to believe about yourself at 16 years old. When you get attention from someone older than you, right?
When did it start getting like cheating and physical abuse?
That's the physical was, so I'll get to that. The cheating was probably even before I knew.
Yeah, probably the whole time.
Yeah, I think, I knew about it within like 3 to 4 months, but I'm certain that there was more times than I even knew, and I'm certain there was probably before that. Yeah, and it was pretty soul crushing at 16.
But why'd you stay with him for 3 years?
It was off and on. It was back and forth. It was, I would break up with him. He would apologize, do the whole, thing of with, I'll never do this again. You're a wonderful person. I should have never done that. It was a mistake. And I would believe it, and I would take him back, and then it would happen again. And to be honest, it was just, I have no idea, especially now with years, so many years that have passed. I have no idea why I kept going back. I think I didn't know what actual love was supposed to look like. I thought I was in love because it felt like love, but it was really just an addiction, to the attention, to somebody wanting to be with me, to somebody older than me liking me. It was a trauma bond, I guess you could call it. So I lost my virginity to this person. Like this was someone that had more of me than anyone else ever had,
And so eventually he smacked you?
No. He actually, it's hard to talk about. I'm sorry. I am in therapy, just so we're clear. No, he strangled me after, it was like the final straw. I finally was like, I'm done. I'm just done. We were at an event in our small town that we lived in, and there was a bunch of people there just drinking. He had friends there that were flirting with me. Of course, they all flirted with me because, like you said, he probably saw me as more of a toy. They knew that, right? And he got really mad.
He had dirtball friends too.
Yeah, he did.
Because
dirtballs usually the whole time we dated.
Yeah, see,
so
that's a red flag. I was going to get to red flags.
Yeah.
Because like now you can look back and you can see a dirt ball coming from a mile away, yeah. I bet.
Oh.
And that's what I want you to share is how to avoid the dirt balls.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But he got upset that his friends were flirting with me and called me some names. I threw a drink in his face, which was like, when I'm looking back now, I was very timid. So I'm surprised I even did that. But he grabbed me by my hair in front of all these people, started to drag me down the sidewalk.
And no one did anything?
They did, actually. There was a group of guys that were a couple years older than me that saw it. They came running after him, pulled him off of me. I went running down the street. It was like a fair that had been going on. It was very late at night. The fair had ended. It was almost like a horror film, just going down the center road running. All these rides are, turned off, and it's dark. And he had somehow gotten away from them and continued to follow me. And he came up behind me as I was running and grabbed me through my cell phone that I had in my hand, and pulled me in this alleyway. And he put me up against the wall, and he was strangling me, and he said, "I will fucking kill you. I will fucking kill you."
Do you think he would have?
I don't know. All I knew is that I'm looking at this person, and I'm thinking I'll die. I don't know if he would have or not, but in that moment, you're not thinking about that.
Yeah.
Luckily, that same group of guys had the sense to continue following him. So within a couple of minutes, they came around the corner, pulled him off of me again. They jumped him, actually. And I can still remember it. Like, I can still remember I took off running again. My instincts were just like, get out, just get away. And I remember there was a street that I had to cross, and I remember stopping before crossing the street and looking back. And I could see him on the ground, and I could see them just like throwing punches and kicking. And it was just like,
good.
It was surreal. It was surreal.
Yeah, but that's good.
No, they might have saved my life that day. Like, I could never thank them enough.
And they just did the right thing.
They did the right thing.
You don't.
They called the cops too, and the cops ended up finding me down the street. And for some reason, I didn't press charges. Still don't know why.
I'm surprised they didn't press them for you.
I am too, actually. But yeah, so that was when I was like, I have to go. I have to leave. This is not okay. This is not going to get better. This is going to get worse. And he probably will end up killing me if I don't take control of my life right now and leave. So I left like that same week. My mom, she lived in a different city than me. She came and got me, and I left and moved away and never went back. So.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm always like empathetic towards people. But I always also think in real life, like, you're probably not alone at all in that story. Like, there's probably tons of girls that went through the same type of shit.
Oh, yeah. That's why my platform, I think, has grown to be honest with you, I get messages every single day from women and men, believe it or not,
in toxic relationships,
in horribly abusive relationships.
And it's crazy because, again, I mean, I probably have been, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that bad.
I would hope not.
But I mean, I remember being pissed off enough to freaking, strangle a girl, but not literally.
Right.
But
right.
I've been in, yelling fights with past girlfriends that, now I'm older. And I think, what a dick I was. Like, what a fucking loser.
Yeah.
But then I didn't think I was a loser. Then I was thinking, fuck her.
Right. You're angry. You're entitled
Especially
to be
if
angry.
all my friends were flirting with you and you were flirting back. Oh, I'd have been pissed.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. You're human, right? You have emotions. You have feelings. It's what you do with it. It's how you treat people.
So you dumped him. Good. Boom. Then you moved to where?
Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Okay. Now, did you do it again?
So not necessarily.
Okay.
After that, I was honestly very physically, mentally, emotionally very sick.
And you never talked to him again?
Maybe once or twice.
Because again, that I would say don't do.
Yeah, it was
in that case for sure, Ashley.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Like if I was your dad and you talked to him ever again, I would freaking come grab you by the hair myself and drag your ass home and lock you in a room.
I would give him permission. My dad actually, he didn't find out about it until years later. And it's so funny. Do you know Matt and Mark Hughes by chance?
Yeah, the fighter,
yeah.
Matt Hughes.
So they're from my hometown. Yeah. And my dad he was friends with them. And he's very physically fit. He's like, my dad's 60. He's got a six pack. It's unbelievable. It's just ridiculous.
He was about to go get the Hughes brothers?
He was furious when he finally found it. Years later, mind you. And he was going to track him down and go take him out. And luckily he did not. He had the sense to go, okay, like I have to, but
I don't blame him there.
The guy is lucky that my dad didn't know at the time. That's all I'm going to say. He is so lucky that my dad didn't know then.
So again, I mean, you dumped him.
I did.
Talked to him a few times, which that's not a good idea.
Very briefly. And it was like,
if you could do it over, would you have talked to him at all?
No.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. There's no reason for it.
Exactly. End it. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Like, especially in that circumstance, like you get abused, they strike you, they hit you.
Yeah.
There's something serious. Like never again, no more conversation.
That's right. Cut the cord.
Because sometimes that'll get you killed.
Oh, 100%.
Because 9 times out of 10, when you leave someone like that, they start to freak out because you no longer want them.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, now you're a bigger slut.
Yeah, that's right.
And now if I can't have you,
no one can.
No one
That's
can.
happened to a friend of mine, actually.
And you know what they do? They're nice. They're just trying to reach out. They just want you to know they miss you. Yeah. Can I see you one more time?
Oh, it's so scary.
And then all of a sudden you say, yeah, because, you did love them and there was something there. And you want to too. But then you show up. Yeah. You never should have went there.
Luckily for me, I didn't want to. Luckily, I was disgusted by him after that. Like, just the thought of him made me sick. So I never had a desire ever again to, like, even entertain it. Like, the conversations we had were years later. They were very brief. And even that, I was like, that was a waste of my time. Not to put him down as a person. I'm sure he's grown. I'm sure he's evolved as a human being and has many regrets, obviously. But it just wasn't necessary.
If he'd have been different, were you thinking, man, this guy could be my husband?
Yeah, first, of course. At 16, of course. That's like your dream.
All right, well, keep going. I don't want the whole podcast to be about the past. I want to get to the present.
So, long story short, I didn't know what to look for. After that, I spent years just kind of dating casually people that I had no business dating. I didn't know what red flags were. I didn't know what to look for. I overlooked every, obvious flashing light that's like, no, do not go there. I just overlooked them all because I don't know why. The empathetic side of me was like, you got to give people a chance. You don't know until you know. I did know. Instinctually, we always know. We just don't like to admit that to ourselves. But I spent a lot of years just doing that. And it was the end of my marriage, which, by the way, was not abusive. It was a 10-year marriage. It was the end of that really kind of sent me in the downward spiral of, what are you doing? Like, Do you have any idea who you are? Do you have any idea what you want? Do you have any idea what you need in a relationship? And I realized I didn't. And from that point on, I made a vow to myself that I would work on myself, that I would stop looking for someone until I knew exactly what I needed, and exactly what not to go for or allow in my life anymore romantically. And I made a few mistakes, in the process, learning, but I saw the red flags immediately. I saw the ways in which I had settled before in those experiences, and they woke me up. And I do genuinely feel like over the past 2 years, I'm a completely different person, like completely different person. I will never be in another abusive relationship again. I can honestly say that. So.
Well, good.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, good. Number one. Number two, it's almost like, duh, like everybody listening, especially if you're female and you're in an abusive relationship right now, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like there'd be zero reason to stay.
There is always zero reason to stay.
Unless, they're going to kill you. Like if you're in a bad abusive relationship, what would you suggest they do? I would say call the police and get into some sort of protection program.
Oh,
but I'd get away no matter what.
Safe House for Women. There's a bunch of them. They're all over our country. And honest to God, if there is a woman that is like, I want out, but there's no way. I have nowhere to go. I have no one to go to. I would honestly say, like, unfortunately, our justice system fails us a lot in this, right? Because cops, it's like they can only do so much without any real solid evidence. And a lot of the times you don't have it when you're in those situations, okay? And so you can get a restraining order, but a restraining order most of the time only makes an abusive person more angry, right? It just revs up the abuse because now they're pissed that you went that far and that people know things about them that they didn't want them to know, right?
Too bad. But do they work though?
They don't work. Usually they don't work because you're not being protected. Like, again, it's a piece of paper.
Well, again, a restraining order would work if you were dating anybody sane.
Right.
So again, that should be a red flag right there. If they're getting freaky over a restraining order, like if someone put a restraining order on me.
Right. Yeah,
number one, I would be like, what in the hell are they so afraid? I can't even believe I make someone that afraid of me.
Yeah.
I'd feel guilt and shame for that.
Yeah.
And then I'd stay completely away from them. Right. Why? Well, because I'm a normal thinking individual.
Well, and you're not abusive.
If you get well, again, that's questionable. I don't know.
Oh, maybe we need to dive into that.
Well, I mean, what's the definition of abuse? Now, again, my whole life, I would say there's definitely some abuse that I've pulled.
Mentally, emotionally.
Mentally. Some of them, when I say some of them, I'm just thinking like in the past, I don't even know who it was, but I'm sure some of them might even say physically, but not abuse like I smacked them.
Right.
But
there's a difference between abusive behaviors and tendencies and abuse. There is a difference.
Yeah, but I mean, abuse, like to me, might be like, verbal.
Okay.
And mental, and what you say to them that's just mean and hurtful, and they deal with it, and they'll deal with it. Why? Because they fucking love you.
Yeah.
And then like you're just a dick.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So in other words, you were just a complete asshole.
Yeah.
But you knew it. That's another thing.
I didn't know it.
Oh, you did?
I know it now.
Okay.
I mean, you look back, you're like, did I do that? Yeah. Like one time there was a girl. I don't even remember her, but I went back to the town I grew up in, and I'm talking to this girl, and I did remember her, but I don't remember that I did what she said I did. Oh, boy. And I said, I was just sitting there talking to her, and she said, you remember that one day you were riding towards me on your bike, and she started looking a little bit pissed, and I'm like, no.
She'd been harboring that for a while.
Yes, she did. And it made me realize that her whole life she's been thinking about that. And my little dumbass had no idea, but apparently I was riding towards her on a bike, and back when she was little, and as soon as she said this, I go, now I remember who you are, because she was the girl with like a dead tooth. Oh. And so I rode my bike up, and apparently she also didn't say that she had a crush on me. I didn't know that. But anyway, I'm riding my bike towards her, and she's obviously thinking, oh, here comes Brad, who I like. And I skidded up and said, "What's up, dead tooth?"
Oh.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Like, I don't know.
12?
Yeah. 15. I don't even know.
It's very typical of a 12-year-old.
But still, what a dick move that was.
I mean, yeah, but...
Especially realizing she thought about that her whole life.
It's sad, yeah.
It's sad, yeah. Like, I shouldn't have done that. And when people always ask, what's my regret? That I wasn't aware to be more kind to people. Because, again, there may be, people that I've forgotten.
Yeah.
But I was a dick, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, if you're listening, I apologize. But we do grow up. We do change. That's why when people say people don't change. Yes, they do. And you said maybe he's grown. That's true. Maybe he's not a dickweed anymore.
I'm sure he has. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but some people don't change.
Yeah, and I'll never know because we don't speak. I know nothing about him anymore.
I think you need to want to change.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope not. It's been 20 years, Ashley.
Right. Lots of relationships then, so.
Okay, so now, though, you're giving out advice. So we're up to the current. Okay. Well, hold on. You got divorced.
I did.
Why'd you get divorced?
Okay, so this is the one thing I don't talk about a lot, and here's why. I have a daughter. She's 9, and it's really important for me that she doesn't ever hear a bad thing about her father. Not from my lips. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, yeah, it was it the perfect marriage? No, they never are.
Just grew apart.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Had different ideas.
We got married very quickly. We didn't know each other well, to be honest. We didn't know each other well, and the compatibility was lacking, and we gave it 10 years. We gave it 10 years, and I really
had a beautiful daughter.
Yeah, we had a beautiful daughter, but she should never have to hear anything about her father from me.
I love that.
So whether
that deserves a bomb.
But it's honestly, that's one of my parents divorced when I was little. They didn't like each other at all. And that was really hurtful and hard for me as a kid and probably my siblings. Like, you should never have to hear negative things about your parent that you love, right? Especially on a public platform, Her dad is a great father. He's a great father. He'll always be an amazing father to her, and that's all she should ever know. So...
But for whatever reason, it ended.
It ended.
And that was how long ago?
That was about 2 years ago.
Okay, so are you single now?
I am. Very single.
Are you planning to remain single?
You know what? I don't know. I'm not thinking about it either way. I'm not looking.
You're not against it.
I'm not against it. Yeah.
That's good.
I'm just whatever.
That means you're not harboring.
No, I don't have anger towards anyone. Not anymore.
Good.
I just don't. Like, life's too short. It's too short. That's so much energy.
Okay, so now you're a relationship expert.
No. I am what's the movie called? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? I am a how to get in a bad relationship and avoid it. That's what I am.
Okay, so let's warn people. What are some of the red flags?
First of all, you don't know anyone when you first meet them. If someone comes into your life and there's a difference between, hey, I really like you and you're a great person, I'd like to see where this goes, and you're the most amazing person I've ever met and I want to marry you after a week. Huge difference. And a lot of women, because they like words, we like words as women. We hold on to these unrealistic, idealized, quotes that these guys will say to like get in there quickly, and we take it as truth when it's just a complete fabrication. And I did that. I was so guilty of that. I'm a wordy person. I'm a writer. I write. Like, I love, poems and all of these, things, romantic things. But words mean nothing until you actually know someone and until they can prove that the things they're saying are actually true. And you always learn that the hard way. As a woman, you will always learn that the hard way. It goes for men too.
So you can't trust anybody?
No, you can trust, but you trust to the degree of what is being shown to you. Like, if the words are, you're the love of my life, even though I met you a week ago, that's not a reality. That's not a reality.
I don't know about that.
Oh, why? Did you meet the love of your life in a week?
No, but like, I believe in love at first sight.
I believe in lust at first sight, and I believe that love can grow.
Well, that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah,
But I mean, like, there's been times where you see somebody and you're like, damn. And you're like, I love you, girl.
Yeah, I've seen guys where I thought I would marry you if it was looks alone that we were going for. But that's not practical, and that always ends badly.
So what should they do?
I think that if I could do it over again with any relationship, casual or serious, that I've ever had, I would sit back, take the time to get to know who the person is in reality, versus who I want them to be and versus who they're saying they are. Because the truth is, we are all presenting a character when we first meet someone. We're our best selves, right? Am I wrong? Like,
not all of us.
Most of us. Even good people do this. Like, you're not going to meet someone that you're really interested in and just be like, yeah, I don't do much during the day. I just kind of hang out. And you're going to...
You should, though.
Well, no, you should, but who does that?
Me.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you in a relationship right now?
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask her.
What do you want to ask her?
I want to ask her what that looked like the first few weeks.
What do you mean?
I want to know, like, what you said versus, like, what it really looked like versus who you are.
I can get her on the phone if you like.
I'd love it, but no. I you know what? If you really believe that, then I trust that's true.
I am a real dude. So I believe that if you be real, number one, that's the best. Why? Because if you like me, you're liking me.
Exactly.
If I'm not real and you like me, how do I know that's going to last?
100%.
So most people, they put on these best versions of themselves and then that wears off and we wonder why we have a high divorce rate. Well, because you didn't marry them. You married the best version of them that wasn't sustainable.
You married the character that they created for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
And I don't do that.
I don't do it either, but a lot of people do. And I've been guilty of it in my past.
Well,
right?
Haven't we all?
Right. So
But that's because your agenda and motives are different.
That's right. That's right. I'm not trying to be loved anymore. Like when you're, and it's an insecurity too, by the way. When people create a character, it's because they're insecure with who they actually are.
It's because they don't value themselves enough.
That's right. They're afraid that you won't actually connect or love the person that they actually are. So they have to show this version, this idealized version of themselves.
And coincidentally, a lot of people don't know who they are.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, so they need to learn who they are first.
That's
like
right.
you said, number one, know yourself. I said, how do you pick a dude? You said, number one, figure out what you want in a dude. True.
Yeah.
That's what they should do.
Yeah.
Most people don't. Or they just think, 6'1", they make this much money, and, like they should be beyond that.
I want a guy in finance. Is that what was that thing on TikTok? The girl was like 6'5", blue eyes, in finance.
6'5"? Who the fuck is 6'5"?
I don't know. It was some hilarious.
Do girls like big, tall 6'5"ers?
To be honest, I have no idea. Maybe.
Why is that?
I'm not a hype person. Do you take care of yourself? Are you authentic? Are you generous to people? Character means so much more to me than height. Every day of the week. Like I care less.
So
if the guy's my height, that's fine.
So how tall are you?
I'm 5'6", I believe.
So you'll date a guy that's 5'6".
I mean, honestly, if I had to choose between a guy that was 5'6" with a great character, and a guy that was 6'5" that was a complete douchebag, I'd choose the guy that was 5'6".
I know, but why are you limiting yourself to those two choices?
Well, because you asked. Because you asked.
No,
I don't have to choose between one or the other.
I said you'd date a guy that's 5'6", and you said, well, if he was sweet and my only other choice was some tall dickhead.
You're right. You know what? I'm open. I'll put it that way. I'm open to good people. Like if you're short, tall, in between.
Well, that's good news for a lot of men out there.
Yeah. I do prefer someone who takes care of themselves. I don't.
You want someone in shape?
I do. But.
Is that one of your non-negotiables?
Kinda. I didn't know it was a non-negotiable until I took a look.
All the fatties listening, forget it.
No.
There's a lot of people listening right now that are going, dude, if they're on YouTube, they're like, hey, she's single, she's smart. Let me put my bid in. Where would they reach out, by the way?
Oh gosh, please don't. Please don't.
You might get some proposals.
I already have, and I'm just right now. No, thank you.
Isn't that funny? When you don't want them, they pour in, and when you want them, they don't.
I always laugh because it's like on my social media, like the people that present themselves to me on there and put themselves out there. I'm like, where did they come from? Never mind. I'm not going to say it. It sounds very judgmental, but it's a little scary. It's a little scary. Anyway, moving on. Yeah.
So I don't know how many females listen to this podcast.
Right.
But after number one, which is figure out what you want, then obviously based on what you want. But my diving in would involve, let's figure out what should they want, because What if they want a bad guy or a bad boy, whatever they're called? What if they want somebody that's like dark and mysterious? And what are the flags? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, sir, let's start with here too. There's a difference between what you want and what you need, right? And a lot of people don't think about that going into a relationship. They just like you said, I want a guy that's this tall, that makes this much money, that has blue eyes, that takes care of himself. Like those are great things and those are fine. Put them on your list. That's great. But the things you need actually still are more important. And like I said, compatibility goes a long way.
Yeah, but you can combine the needs and the wants.
You absolutely can. But your needs still have to prioritize. Like if the ideal...
You don't settle, Ashley.
You don't.
No.
But the ideal is look at your needs first. And then go, okay, this person overall is like really...
I would just add your wants to your needs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you wouldn't have wants, you have needs.
Exactly. I need a guy that communicates and is good looking.
That's right.
Right?
Because I don't think you should settle.
I agree.
You can hold out. Most people don't want to, especially
true.
in a lot of cases, women. Why? Well, my biological clock is ticking and yada, yada, yada. And what they end up doing is they start going, you know what? He doesn't really have to be that tall.
You're so right. Honestly, that's one of the most beautiful things that has come in my life is that I've been married. So now I'm like, what is the rush? Like I've already been married, and I now know what it looks like to date someone that or marry someone that you're not compatible with over years of time. Like it's better to wait. I would rather be 50 and find a really good person for me than jump into something next week just because I'm scared I'm running out of time. You know, it's just not worth it. It's so
what if you're in a relationship that you're not sure if you want to be in because it's kind of bland. In other words, you don't hate the person.
Okay.
But you're not madly in love with the person either. What should they do?
That's tough. I kind of fall, I teeter back and forth on these things because sometimes I think to myself, don't settle. Life is short. You get one. If you're going to commit to someone, make sure it's someone that like fills your cup, that you actually enjoy, that you have fun with, that you're like, I look forward to seeing this person every day, like in every possible way. Like I love looking at them. I love talking to them. I enjoy vacation with them, which says a lot. But then I'm also like, if you're in a wounded place and you haven't done the healing inner work, sometimes you think that healthy is boring, right? So that's hard. It's hard to know. I think it depends on every individual person. Like, are you healed? If you're healed and you're genuinely going, this isn't it, like this isn't it, then it probably isn't.
Okay, so how do they heal? I got to give them some tactical steps.
For me, the first thing I did was I got in therapy. Like, and I know that sounds so simple. And
therapy where you just sit there and talk to somebody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think therapy is so underrated. I know we talk about it, but honestly, there are so many things we don't know about ourselves until someone just like presents the question, you know? And it was really helpful for me. And so I did therapy first and foremost because I knew that there were things within me that I needed to work on, and I just didn't know exactly what they were. So I started there.
Are they all done?
No, God, it's a journey. It's not there's no destination in healing. You'll always be healing and growing and evolving. Like, you'll always have things to learn from. You'll always make mistakes. It's never ending, and that's okay, you know? But I started there, and then I actually got in a gym. I know that sounds silly too, but I realized, like, physically, I was mentally better when I worked out. I was mentally better when I was moving my body and, like, taking care of myself like I actually cared about myself, which, again, another very simple but very practical and powerful thing to do. I then like just took a step back from like all the other stuff in my life, and I really dug deeply within myself. And I did affirmations, and I read books that were inspiring, and I listened to podcasts that were inspiring, and I started filling those voices in my head with things that were positive, that would encourage me into growth, and not just sitting back and listening to sad songs, which are fine sometimes. We all need a good cry, but I also set in the emotions of what I was feeling instead of avoiding them and pushing them off. I accepted that I was struggling emotionally, and I was sad and disappointed, and that, you know, as much as that sucked, it was okay to feel that way. So many people get distracted. They're like, oh, I'm sad, I don't like this. I have to do everything I can not to think about this or feel this feeling. And it's something that will always come up. It's going to come up at some point or another in your life. If you avoid it, it sits in your body and it'll stay there until a really inopportune moment when you don't want to feel sad and suddenly you're bawling. You know, it's a weird thing how our body keeps hold of things like that.
You're, I'm sure you're talking to females.
Yeah, mostly. I don't know how men work.
That's not how men
Don't
work.
ask me for advice on men. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell men, if you're all of a sudden finding yourself bawling, you know,
you definitely need therapy.
Yeah, we need to talk.
No, that's very true. My dad is not an emotional person at all. It's so funny. He's very just straight-laced, like black and white, like, you know, you just suck it up. You suck it up, but he's a man, and he's a masculine person. That's pretty normal, I think, for you guys. So anyway, yeah, so that's what I did.
Okay, so.
And I started making videos and writing.
Yeah, so
I had an outlet.
Make sure you go follow her so you can see some of these videos. And where do they get your writing?
On my Instagram, I do quotes and poems and
wow, okay,
encouraging things.
So should guys follow you or no?
I actually have more than you would think.
Why should they follow you? Are you giving us tips?
Nothing that when I write, I'm not writing to women. I'm writing to people, right? Like we're all going through the same things. Maybe we respond to them differently, but at the end of the day, we are the same in a lot of ways too. And encouragement.
Same but not.
Yeah. But encouragement is encouragement, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
I agree with.
If you need to pick me up, like follow me. Like that's
is that what you are? Is like, oh, hopeful stuff?
Mostly.
Good.
Yeah, mostly.
Well, I'll have to go check it out. I didn't follow you.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Before this.
That's hurtful, but.
Well, again, I mean, because of Darren, he called and said, hey, do you want to talk to her? And I said, you know what? That sounds like good topics to people.
Yeah.
Why? Well, there's a lot of women out there that might be in abusive relationships where this is going to inspire them to get out of it, which they should get out of it.
They should.
And then I was, thinking if we could warn people of the red flags.
Okay, yes.
So people can so ladies, pay attention. This is for you. Yeah. And again, I mean, guys too, technically. Like I can give some red flags for women.
Yeah.
You give red flags for men.
That's great.
So women, listen to you. What are the red flags they should be watching out for when they start dating people? What are the red flags?
I think rushing into something way too soon, which I didn't know.
So if a guy wants to get rushy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, again, every situation is different. Once in a while, you'll meet somebody and two people just click and it works. I've seen that happen. For the most part, it takes time to get to know someone. If they're rushing in and it's 2 days in and they're like, I want you to be my girlfriend and you're not allowed to have guy friends, red flag. Okay. Red flag.
Okay.
I think controlling behavior is a red flag.
Gotta be specific.
So until you're in a serious committed relationship, I do not believe that a man should be telling you where you can go and who you can see. Obviously, if they're dating you and they don't trust you to be around other people, that's a red flag for them. Okay.
Dating, like, we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, we're just dating.
Right.
Like going out
but
sometimes.
Guys will do that sometimes.
But does that still happen?
Yeah.
People date?
I think. I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I tried it out. It wasn't great, but we learn.
Okay. So not controlling. Okay, keep going.
Also just like this is a weird one, but honestly, it's so true. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Have you ever heard of the term dead eyes?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever seen it?
What is it?
So
when they just look dead?
When you look into someone's eyes and you're having a conversation with them, especially if it's an emotional one, and there's nothing going on here, they're just
blank.
That is a red flag. And I know it's a weird one. That's one, that is such a specific one, but honestly,
dead eyes.
It is a red flag.
Anything else?
Inconsistencies, I think inconsistency is a red flag. If you're dating someone and it's like you hear from them every day for 3 days and then they're gone for 3 weeks and they just come back like nothing ever happened.
Unexplained absences.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Okay.
If they don't have a steady, stable job, I think that's a red flag.
No job, red flag. Okay.
Not no job, because things happen. People get laid off. If they aren't steadily pursuing
What if they don't hold your door?
I personally, that's a want for me.
But what if they don't hold your door?
I don't think that's a red flag. I
Okay,
think
what
that's
if they
a
don't?
gentleman
What if
thing
they
to
don't
do.
buy your meals?
I do think that's a red flag at first. At first. If it's the first date, and this has happened to me before, and they're like, you've got your own, right? That's a red flag.
Shut the hell up. Nobody's ever done that to you.
Oh, they have. I kid you not. I went on a date with a fella,
What did you do?
and we went hiking. I had no idea.
Now again, a date is somewhere where like there might be something here. I find this person attractive.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
We decided to do like a hike in this really beautiful park. So I'm not thinking about food. I didn't even bring a purse because we're going on a hike.
Yeah.
At some point, we decide we're hungry, and he knows the area well, and he says, there's this restaurant over here. We should go hit that up. For the next 20 minutes on our walk, he talked about why he never pays on a first date for a girl for their dinner. And I was like, this is really awkward because I don't even have any money with me. So even if I didn't want you to pay, I couldn't pay for myself.
But that's the bigger red flag than everything you said.
You think so?
Oh my God.
If
a guy will not pay, dump him fast.
Well, it's an integrity thing, right? Because it's like,
just a man thing.
Even if they're just broke.
It doesn't matter. If they're broke, you know what he'd say? I wish I could buy you dinner.
Yes.
Because I'm broke.
I agree.
And I can't buy you dinner, but I can, we can go find a fucking apple tree.
Yeah.
We can eat, but I might have to steal it for you.
I agree. Totally.
So do I.
I don't think, and this is a really, this might be a controversial topic, but I don't think if a man's not in a good place financially, I don't think he should be seriously dating. And I know that sounds really bad.
And if he is, just be real.
Yeah. Yeah, or at least be open and honest, right?
That's real.
And if a girl's like, I'm okay with that, that's great.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
That's
but
right.
A lot of women, I mean, if you can't afford it and
by the way, for men, if a woman runs from you because you have no money, good. That's a red flag.
I agree.
That's a red flag. People are like, well, Brad, you just said two different things. No, I did not. Number one, always be real.
Yeah.
But if I don't have money and I saw a girl that I wanted to date, but I don't have any money,
right,
I'd walk up and introduce myself. And then I'd say, so how do we hang out? Now, I can't buy you anything because I'm temporarily broke. But someone like you will motivate me to go make some money. But right now I have zero.
Yeah.
Would you hang out, want to hang out somewhere? And you say, yeah, come over to my house. I'm not going to go, oh, no, I don't have any money. I shouldn't be dating. I'd be over at your house. I
would be more inclined to say, you know what?
Then
Let's be friends for a while.
Then I'd be borrowing your car. Then I'd be freaking asking you, hey, can you loan a brother some money so I can pay some rent? That's what happens. Those are red flags.
It does happen. I get women messaging me about that all the time, too, where they're like, what should I do? I'm like, what do you mean, what should you do? The guy's driving your car? And you're paying for his bills. What do you mean? What should you do? It's a
red flag.
It's a red.
Because again, it doesn't make them bad people.
Yeah.
I would say if I were broke and out, which has been the case at some point in my life, one of the strategies I would teach a man would be to go find a woman who doesn't mind taking care of men because they're out there. And that's a good way to get off the street and on your feet.
It's an interesting way too.
But I mean, again,
I'm
just saying, it's a legitimate thing. Like I would not look down on a guy who was down and out in Beverly Hills, met a girl, leveraged the girl, and got on his feet. Now, if he was using the girl and abusing the girl and cheating on the girl, different story.
And still taking her money.
But at the end of the day, I mean, listen, I would highly recommend everybody get off the street. Make some money. Yeah. Become something of substance when it comes to financial wherewithal. Yeah. And if that means that you have to freaking, sleep on a girl's couch or sleep at a girl's house for a while, I wouldn't say you're a piece of shit because you did that.
No, I don't.
And I wouldn't say don't be. In other words, that's not too proud for me. Like for example, I would do it.
I appreciate honesty any day of the week. I would, like you said, I would much prefer to get to know someone that's honest about it than be dating someone who is pretending like they have things they don't. That's way worse to me.
And usually it's that.
Yeah, exactly. It usually is that. And then they're suddenly like, oh, my loan didn't go through. And could I borrow $20,000 from you? I'll pay you back next week. And then next thing you know, they've disappeared. That hasn't happened to me, thank God.
Well, you're going to get a lot of comments on this post, I'm sure my team will make, because it's a controversial topic. Every time I give relationship comments and posts and stuff, they go crazy. I was introduced the other day as the relationship guy, and I said, the relationship guy?
Wow.
Yeah, because I said, if you have a good woman and she outspends your income, you need to make more money. And that went viral. Really?
Why were they, like, what was the problem
My
with that?
female following went from like 9% to like 39%.
Of course it did. I love that.
Well, because a lot of guys out there, they're they have a good woman,
Yeah.
and but they don't make much money.
Right.
And the whole point was a good woman wouldn't outspend your income. She would know that you're like, growing a company or doing whatever, and she wouldn't consciously not outspend you.
I think that's too black and white.
What do you mean?
Do. I just think we're a lot more complex than that. You can be a good woman and have no sense of, finances that your husband takes care of, right?
A good woman will not outspend your income.
I disagree.
I don't think we can disagree.
I think a good woman wouldn't purposefully want to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
But
You're saying some could be dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I wouldn't call it
Girls
dumb.
can be dumb.
I wouldn't even call it, no.
What can they be?
I would say naive. I would say they can be naive or just not. Ignorant would be a better word in the sense that they just don't understand.
Okay, so I'll clarify. A good woman would not intentionally outspend your income, which is what I was inferring to.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Not intentionally.
They wouldn't. A good woman wouldn't.
No.
A bad woman would. There's such a thing, You sound like you're almost like, you're a defender of women, which you should be. But at the end of the day, there's also little skanks out there. You know this.
I do.
Okay, so skank-free zone.
I wouldn't call them skanks.
What would you call them?
I would call them people that haven't found themselves yet.
That's nice.
That are looking for purpose and meaning and things that are shallow. That's what I would say.
Well, that's a nice way of saying it all.
I'm good at sugarcoating.
What about a guy that beats up his girlfriend? What would you call him?
Well, I think abuser is the word, but I don't.
Would you say that's just a lost soul searching and insecure?
I don't empathize with that because I think choices matter, and we are accountable. You have to be accountable for your actions.
Exactly, that's a dirt ball.
However, I don't think someone wakes up one day and decides, you know what, I just want to be an abuser today. I think it is passed down generation to generation, and some people just don't have the strength to be the chain breaker in their family to say, you know what, even though my dad did this and I saw this and that was normal to me, I know it's wrong and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Or they don't have, impulse control.
Yeah,
They don't understand that they choose their own
They're fighting
reactions.
demons within them that are stronger than they are.
Yeah.
So.
But there are skanks and there are dirt balls. Now, you might say, well, define what a skank is.
I think I know.
A skank is an unethical, cheating, manipulative hoe bag.
Yeah.
Now, again, you say they don't exist. They exist.
No, I think they do exist.
And there's dirtball men, scumball, cheating, lying, abusive, narcissistic.
Yeah.
They exist. And I call them dickheads.
Yeah, I will say the last 2 years when I was on my own journey of healing, that was one of the hardest realizations that I had to have, was the reality of how dark people can be versus how I wanted to see the world. That was hard for me because I'm overly empathetic to a fault. And that has its, pros and cons, but I didn't want to see people that way. I didn't want to believe that people could be that dark and that evil, and they can, and it sucks.
Do you go to church?
Not regularly. No, but I did grow up in church.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you know his name?
Jesus?
No.
What do you mean?
First of all, that wasn't even Jesus' name.
What do you mean? What is God's name?
The Creator.
Yahweh.
Do you know his name? That's right.
Yeah.
Or Yahuwah. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeshua.
Nope.
No.
That's his chosen son.
Oh, you're right. You are right.
The Creator.
Thank you.
But earlier, the reason I asked is because you said the universe will open doors for you.
God. Yeah.
But you didn't say God. You said the universe.
Because people call it a million different things. It's the same thing. God is God.
I know, but if you believe it, why are you saying universe?
I don't know. It wasn't like a deliberate.
Are you fearing judgment?
No, I don't.
Do you fear judgment at all?
Not anymore.
Did you used to?
Yeah.
How freeing is it to release the fear of judgment?
It's the best feeling in the world. I have a tattoo that says free for that exact reason.
What?
Free. For that exact reason. I spent my entire life as a people pleaser, worried about what people thought of me. And even though it was hard, leaving my marriage was the first thing I ever did, knowing that I would be judged for it and that people would not agree. And I did it anyway because I knew it was the right thing to do for me. And from that point on, I don't care. I lost a lot of family. I lost a lot of friends.
How's it going?
It's fine now.
I mean, how's it going? You said if I stay here, I'll be screwed. If I leave, I'll be better. Are you better?
In a lot of ways, yeah. I don't think
out?
Did it work out?
Yeah, like in other words, is it everything you thought it would be? Because there's a lot of people out there that go get divorced prematurely. I'm talking to them a little bit.
Look, your challenges are your challenges, and it doesn't matter whether you stay or you go. You're still gonna. Life is life.
But you're
gonna get hit in the face a million times by a million things. The pains that I had in my marriage are completely different than the pains that I have now. Doesn't make it less or better, but I'm still okay with the decision I made.
Shouldn't you work on your marriage?
Oh, 100%. I honestly do not believe that you should leave a marriage until you have done everything you can. I think it means something to me. I wouldn't have stayed 10 years. When I commit to something, that means something to me. I think marriage is a beautiful thing. And I think it pushes you to grow almost more than anything that you'll ever experience. You have to put your selfishness aside. You have to change the person sometimes. You have to evolve and put other people before yourself. And parenting does the same thing. I don't know if you're a parent or not, but you realize how selfish you are when you become a parent, right? But anyway, it's I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the choice I made. I have peace with it. And I think that's what matters, is if you have peace with the choices that you make, I think that maybe you made the right choice. So
good. Only because I promised I'd give red flags for women.
Yes.
So again, here's a few red flags for your girl. Now, again, depends on when in the relationship you are. And I'd love to hear your opposition to this or your agreement.
You got it.
This is when you're already in a relationship. If a girl will not give you her cell phone freely, that's a red flag.
100%.
Because, and by the way, I was writing down yours to see if it did apply to both. Mm-hmm. That applies to both.
Yes, it does.
If your guy, sorry dudes, if you're holding on to your phone because you don't want her in it, well, then you're hiding shit.
I agree.
End of story. And again, this always gets flack back and forth, and people are like, it's called privacy. It's called, then they don't trust. I shouldn't be together anyway. It's not called trust. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what you said, too fast, too rushy, that applies. Non-controlling, that applies.
Yeah.
Okay, dead eyes, well, that applies too. Yeah. If I see a girl and she's like dead eyeing me, I'd be like, what? Unexplained absences.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
I'd say it's even bigger for a girl as a red flag than it is a guy.
No job, which you didn't say is a red flag, but I wrote it down anyway, because that should be a red flag.
Yeah.
Now, again, no job. Like, well, what do you do? Nothing? What do you mean nothing? There's a story behind that nothing.
Yeah, there is.
Everybody does something.
You should have a goal of some kind.
Even if you're
pursuing something.
Yeah, even if you're rich as hell. But if a girl has no job, that's a red flag to me. Why? Well, because what do you do?
Yeah. What is your life outside of this relationship?
More importantly, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Because like if you have zero job, am I a meal ticket? Like what am I?
Right.
What are you? Who are we?
I agree.
So that's just a red flag. But a red flag for women would also be if they have a bunch of guy friends.
Okay.
Why is that a red flag?
Well, I would say the same for men as well. If they have a lot of girlfriends, I think it's also a red flag. And it always
doesn't make it bad, by the way. It just means caution. That's all it means. Red flag. Hey, check this out. This is something to be looking at. And then also, last but not least, how they keep their car in their house.
Oh, see, that one convicts me a little.
But still, if you go to their house and it's a disaster, that is a red flag.
Does it matter if it's a disaster all the time or just sometimes? Like if you, like, let's say they're not expecting you.
If they're a dirty little piglet every day, in my mind, it's a red flag. Now, again, it doesn't mean anything. You can get past red flags. You can compromise. You can work together. You can hire a maid. Yeah. The bottom line, though, is when they're messy in their house and their car, it's probably because they're messy up here.
Or maybe they have ADHD.
Or they're just messy.
Yeah, I'm messy. I'm not going to lie.
Is your house a disaster?
It's not right now. It's not right now.
You're a red flag for somebody.
Yeah, no. Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Now, if some guy's coming over, are you cleaning up?
Yeah, of course I am.
Of course. But see, then you're faking it.
But it's like when you're single and you're not even looking for a relationship, I wouldn't even call it messy as
Why don't you just hire a maid?
I don't know.
Because I'm lazy. That's lazy, by the way. Yeah. Not messy. Yeah. I'm not messy. I'm just lazy.
I don't know.
I don't want to clean my own shit. I just hire someone to do it. Why? I don't want to. Now, if I lived by myself, I would.
Right.
Because I'm not going to live in a messy pigsty house.
It's not always messy, just for the record. My closet is always messy.
Well, it depends on what messy is. Because, again, clothes scattered around, that's not messy. But food and shit in the sink and flies and, slop. You know what I'm talking about? Like let's say you were cooking and you splashed some spaghetti sauce on the counter and 5 days later it's still on the counter.
Yeah.
That's messy.
Yeah, that's messy.
Are you that?
No.
Do you rinse dishes?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't put a dish in the dishwasher if it's not rinsed.
Yeah, you can. And people do.
You shouldn't.
Matter of fact, if you rinse them, you shouldn't even need to put them in the dishwasher. You just do to sterilize them.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, this goes back to figuring out what you want, because if you're like a freak with cleanliness and germs and then you marry someone dirty or messy.
Messy, yeah.
That's not a good fit from the get-go.
I agree. Compatibility matters. My dad is extremely OCD. Like to the point where like his grandkids have to eat their cookies over the sink. He doesn't want crumbs anywhere. And growing up, it was the type of deal where we had to clean every day, right? And we had to pick the lint off the carpet before we could even vacuum it, because that's just the way it is. Wow. So I think I got older and I was like, I just don't want to have to do that much. Like, I don't want to have to do that much. I don't have to anymore. I'm free. Like, I can live how I want to. So I am messy sometimes, but I'm the type of person where after a certain point, I'm like, okay, enough's enough. Like, get up and do something with this place. And I'll pick up and I'll clean and I'll do my thing. And yeah. So, but it's different when you live by yourself. I try harder if I live with someone else.
And then I would also say, and we'll end it on this one because this one applies to both too. So you're right. Most of them do apply, male or female. I was thinking, no, not really. But yeah, you're technically right. So the last one, and I think one of the biggest one, is they lie.
Oh, yeah.
If you catch somebody you're just starting to date in a lie, there is no reason why that it's okay. Like, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I didn't want to tell you because of this or because of that. If you catch them lying, huge red flag. Mm-hmm. And I would probably consider, in most cases, running for the hills.
I agree. One of my favorite quotes is from Jordan Peterson. And he says that the consequence of telling the truth is always better than the consequence of telling a lie. And I love that.
Unless you're facing prison time.
Right. And hopefully it doesn't come to that.
I know, but like that's the one time I tell people, do not admit it.
I mean, if that's the situation, though, I think the problems are much bigger than the lie you told, But I've never been in that situation, so I guess I won't know unless that happens.
Folks, now you know Ashley Maland. I always want to say Maland.
Everyone does. It's Maland. Maland.
Ashley Taylor Maland. Folks, go follow her at Ashley Maland or at Ashley Taylor Maland. Right. Any platform. Pick one of those two. You'll find her.
Yeah, you'll find her.
Do you have a website?
Not yet. Working on one.
Okay. Go follow her. Appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you having me.
I hope all the people that were listening pick something up to where they can find better relationships.
Yeah, they will.
Till next time, keep it real.
you.